Getting into an accident is stressful enough, but then your car has dents and scratches and you need to get that fixed. Today, I'm talking to Chris from Traphouse Automotive, and he'll be talking about what to do when you've had that unfortunate accident and you don't know what you need to do in order to fix those dents and scratches. I really love this topic because I think a lot of the times people know that if they're in a big crunch, they just take it to an Autobody shop. They know what to do, but the dents and scratches seem a little bit more insidious. I'm really hoping that we can shed some light on what people can do and if they can fix those dents and scratches so people don't have to be driving around Edmonton with a scuffed up ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my first question for you today is what's the difference between traditional dent repair and paintless?
So paintless dent repair, usually known as PDR.
Okay.
That's usually if there's kind of like a dent that maybe there's not paint damage, like the door dings where maybe there's like a little scuff that can be polished, but you got a dent. There's PDR technicians that can work it out from the back and might not need to paint. That's kind of the goal of PDR.
Right.
So you see that a lot on the regular dents that, like I said, door dings or whatever, stuff like that. Another big spot that PDR is used is for hail claims because they are usually kind of like, kind of softer dents or without paint damage. So they go in and try to work them all out on like a hood or a roof. So that's a big help for hail claims.
Right.
And sometimes with hail claims, it's called a push to paint. So it might be a little rough for PDR, but they can work it out, but maybe paint cracked. So they can work out all the dents and then paint comes and just kind of finishes off what they need.
Excellent. So it is possible. I always thought that if there was a dent, then the paint was completely ruined.
No, it can be a lot of the time. If you come by and we see a dent that we think could be fixed by PDR, we work with a couple different PDR technicians. And so it's usually as easy as sending some pictures over to them and they give me the yes or no, that kind of thing. Or maybe I'm painting your hood and you've got a dent on your door. And it's like, well, that's not really related to what we would be doing. So I'm going to have your vehicle for a couple days. I can handle having a PDR technician come by and deal with it while I have it for you too.
Excellent. I love the example of the hail damage because a lot of the times if people are in an accident or if they had some contact with another car or let's say like a boulevard or a sign, there's some scratches there that compromises the paint. But hail damage, the hail doesn't scratch the vehicle.
Right.
So do all scratches need to be painted?
Well, that kind of depends. A lot of them are cosmetic. So if it looks like it's down to the metal, it's going to cause rust. It's probably a good idea. Sometimes they're not that deep. Sometimes they're, just cosmetic. So you could probably get away if you don't like looking at it, of course.
Right.
We can always work our way through it. Maybe it can be polished. So we can always take a look and see what could be done about your scratch.
Excellent. How do you tell if the scratch has gone all the way through the clear coat?
I think if something can be polished, usually the rule of the generic kind of rule of thumb is if your fingernail catches it when you kind of rub across it.
Right.
If it feels like it's not catching, there's a good chance it can polish out without ever being there again.
Nice.
But sometimes if you can wet sand it out a little bit, make it look a little better, make it a little more invisible. So you don't necessarily need to paint it also. So there's a couple ways around it.
And what's involved in repairing like paint chips and that type of scratch?
So rock chips and stuff on a hood, for example, you kind of have to sand it out and there's a couple layers of paint there. So there'll be like the e-coat and like a sealer and like the base color. So you're kind of feathering it all out to make it all like a smooth transition. Same thing goes for if you got keyed, for example, you have a scratch on the side. So it's not as easy as like you can't just, you're not supposed to just fill them like with body filler and go from there.
Right.
So a small little chip could end up being a 3 or 4 inch circle by the time you feather it out. Same with a key mark. So if you have a key mark down the side and you end up having 3 or 4 inches of stripped metal and feathered out layers of paint just to make it all look seamless. It's called feather edging. But
excellent. So in order to fix it, you have to like do a large area around it.
Yeah, yeah. So if you see a single chip, it ends up being a lot bigger than you might think.
And what is paint blending and why is it necessary?
So blending would be, some of these colors are real hard to match. So if you're not blending, it's called butt matching, where you're just going to button the new color up right panel to panel from existing paint. So blending will be some colors are really hard to match. So you blend the adjacent panel for color match just to make it look a little more seamless, just so you can't be like, oh, my fender doesn't match my door. You know why, right?
Yeah.
So that is just kind of like you're setting yourself up for success, you know, instead of fighting for hours and hours of matching, which you might have to do anyway to get a blendable match.
Right.
But yeah, it just kind of helps make the job seamless.
So when you're blending it on an adjacent panel, are you painting the whole thing or just kind of like painting a little bit so that it looks seamless as it goes?
Yeah. So again, say you replace the fender and you're going to blend the door. So you sand the whole panel you prep the entire panel. So you take off the door handles and the mirror and the belt molding and whatever the trim might be.
Right.
And then you paint a little bit, and like there's a couple different painter tricks on how he's kind of staggering his blend or whatever. So you try to stagger it out, and you don't want it to get all the way to the end of the panel, because now the back door, for example, might not match. So and then you clear the whole thing. But with blending also can be another trick, can be tricky too, but for the whole, back to, pre-accident condition, because what if you have a scratch or a rock chip or a door ding right on the edge of your door, right? So now, well, do you fix that, or do you go into the next panel and blend the next panel too?
Right.
So that's another good thing to have a communication with the customer, being like, hey, traditionally we're going to have to paint over this damage unless we go into the next panel, right?
Right.
So and that'd be another thing where insurance to a fault, sticks to the pre-accident repair, because like that was there before, right?
Right.
So that's a good thing to communicate with the customer, to make sure like, hey, you were there. Why did you paint over this dent? It's like, well, it was a blend panel. So it's always good to communicate first, because maybe they want to fix it. Maybe they want to pay a little bit extra to have that done, right? So
yeah. If you're going to go into my vehicle and fix something, I want you to fix everything. I'm fine paying more.
Of course. So it's just good, because some people, I don't care, right? So it's just good to make sure everybody's aware.
And what about mirrors and trim? And there's sensors behind some of those things. How do you go about fixing and mitigating the damage there?
Well, it depends on the mirror. It depends on all of it. Like mirrors, if there's just a scuff, that's pretty straightforward to paint. Moldings, if they're textured black, you're just kind of no hope. If they're painted moldings, you might have a chance of fixing them.
Okay.
So, but say you smashed a mirror off, you're getting a new mirror. So textured plastic, you're getting a new molding. Same with chrome bumpers. Okay. They're really difficult to fix. So like you're usually, if you have a dent in a chrome bumper, you're going to get a new bumper. So that can be kind of a flaw with the chrome, is like it's got a tiny little scratch. It's like we can't fix it. So
but they look so nice.
Yeah. So it'd be a good time to go to a painted bumper if you wanted to, but.
Right. Could you fix that chrome bumper and then paint it, or is that that's ridiculous?
We've actually had, like some people say no, but we've had really good success with it so far. Knock on wood, of course.
Good.
So we'll sandblast chrome bumpers and get them painted. We'll do like epoxy primer and then paint them. And we've done many, many vehicles like that. And so far, so good. So if you wanted to paint your chrome bumper, it is possible.
Excellent. So
obviously we can see what if a paintable bumper plus paint is more economical.
Right.
But yes, short answer would be chrome bumpers can be painted.
Excellent. Good to know. I thought that was a silly question, but turns out not.
No.
Perfect. Can a vehicle owner request original manufacturer's parts in their repair?
Yep, of course. We try to stick to OEM parts whenever we can. Again, with insurance, depending on your policy and age of vehicle, there's a chance you're going to have to pay out of pocket for the difference.
Right.
And again, some people want to and some people don't. So another conversation to have with the owner when you're doing the estimate and stuff. Right. It's kind of the game with insurance is kind of tough because they're insuring the vehicle and it's in a policy that you agreed on, even though who of us ever really reads the fine print, right?
Right.
So you can request them. We're trying to push them every angle we can anyway. If it's something we're kind of getting hung up on and you want to pay out of pocket, we can obviously accommodate that.
Right. And is this ever the case where a car owner comes in and something's been like crunched or broken and they just want to replace it with something fun or fancy, make the car a little bit more special? Is that something that you do as well?
Yeah. So that's a good question because I see that a lot too. So say you have a car and you need a new front bumper or like a hood, like we were talking about. And they're like, well, what if I wanted this upgraded bumper, for example, right? And so if it's going through insurance again, insurance will cover what the OEM bumper was going to cost or the aftermarket bumper was going to cost. And if your part costs a little more, they'll cover up to what the replacement would have been. So you might just be out of pocket a little bit to do that replacement bumper, or there's a chance that you're kind of ahead actually, because sometimes we see on these aftermarket bumpers that maybe they come with the new reflectors or something and you are going to get new reflectors. And so all the sum of the parts, you might not need some of the parts from the insurance estimate, and it just kind of balances out on what the total will be, but they'll cover what replacement will cost. And then you might be out of pocket a little bit versus the whole amount.
That's great. I thought if you were going to replace it with something different or fancy, that insurance would just abandon you, but you actually can use that to work to your advantage. Yeah.
So like I said, if it's time if you want to upgrade instead of making your car look exactly like it did, we've done that before. Yeah. It's just I know I just, supply all the receipts for when I'm doing insurance and let them know what we've done. And it's been working out.
Great. That's a great option for people who might want to upgrade or do something fancy with their vehicle, but they don't want to take the time or the effort or spend the money until they have to.
Right. Of course. And it's like, well, I'm there. Right. So, yeah.
Excellent. And what should people look for when they're picking up their vehicle after it's been fixed?
So when people come to pick up their car after we fixed it, I like to go over it. I don't like to just hand the keys and send them down the road, because people want an education on what happened because, we're supposed to be the professional here. So I just walk them over like, oh, we replaced this, we fixed that, we found this while we're there. A lot of people don't know parts of their cars have been painted before. Maybe we ran into that, right? So, or while we were fixing rust in one spot, we found a little here. Oh, I didn't know that, that kind of thing. So people just want to know what they're going on, like what was, people just want to be informed of what was fixed, right? So I think it's important to walk people through what you've done. And that's why it's always like, oh, can you just leave hide the keys? I'll pick it up after hours. It's like, no, I'll wait just so you know, or maybe your son or daughter is picking up the vehicle for you. And it's like, okay, well, we'll walk them through it, just so it's not a surprise. Right. So.
Absolutely. I think that's just a good customer service to be like, this is what we did. This is how it looks. Make sure that people are happy before they drive away.
That's key. I don't want to see it again. So if I have to, of course I do. But I'm trying real hard not to miss anything. So
you want to see it again when they're ready for another fun upgrade.
Yes, I don't want to have to see them again because I missed something. It's on me now. Yes.
Excellent. And what about if the worst case scenario does happen? A person drives away, they notice something. Can they come back?
Of course. So we messed up sometimes, right? We mess up sometimes. So it's just, especially if we're doing car guy stuff, maybe they're at a car show and they've got 100 people looking at it and somebody points it out and they're like, oh, right. Well, we don't want you to be stuck feeling like that. So we always want to make sure you're leading with your good foot forward if you're wanting to be proud of what you're doing. Right. So
excellent. Yeah. And I love that about Traphouse Automotive is that you are a car guy and you employ car guys who just really love the craft. And I think that's really, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Like I said, I got a good team of guys that are all like-minded on knowing that certain things matter more than other people might think. So yeah, a good crew of people who care. So
Excellent. I think that's a great place to leave it off. Car people that really care about what they're doing. So thank you so much for sitting down. I learned a lot again.
Absolutely.
And if you are looking for a place to get your auto body fixed, please visit traphouseautomotive.ca. There's also an Instagram and Facebook channel that you can look at. And there's always some fun pictures that are going up on a regular basis there. Thanks so much, Chris. I'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely.